The 2025 Mustang Mach E brings along some exciting changes, and today we have one in our hands. We're gonna go take a look at the entire thing. We're gonna put it through its paces, so let's check it out.
I'm Patrick.
And I'm Liv.
And this is the Mach E vlog. We have a 2022 Mustang Mach E GT, but we're really excited to check out the 2025 and some of the key differences. We're going to give you a tour of the inside, take a little bit of a brief overview of the outside. We're going to show you a little bit of BlueCruise, driving, a little bit of everything. This isn't a huge in-depth review, but we're going to give you a lot of information, so buckle in.
Let's go. So let's take a look at this gorgeous 2025 Mustang Mach E Premium extended range with the sports appearance package. That, of course, is some of the first things that you can see here. But first of all, look at this Velocity Blue. So Grabber Blue is no more. You get Velocity Blue, and this is your bright stand-up blue. We'll show you a little footage of what it looks like next to a Grabber Blue. This is definitely more rich and darker. It's as though it took the same kind of blue and added some black into it, whereas Grabber Blue is definitely a white base and stands out more. But this looks so awesome, especially with the sports appearance package. And here you can see one of the differences of the 2025 is this textured grille. It's gross, it's buggy. We've been taking this for an adventure. By the way, we are at the foot of Pikes Peak, the start of the hill climb. This car has just taken us all the way up there. We did a test to see how much energy we burn and how much we gain going all the way up and down. But you can tell that this has been loved. So looks really gorgeous even when it's covered with bugs. Let's have a little peek over here with the sports appearance package. You also get the black wheels, which look really, really sharp.
And the red brake calipers.
Really good. What do you think, Patrick? Could you switch to Velocity Blue?
I still love Grabber Blue, but if we did upgrade, it'd be a 2025 Rally in Velocity Blue.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. Put a black stripe on this, mwah, chef's kiss. One huge difference, of course, between the 2025 Mach-E's and olders is that there is a heat pump, which is great if you live somewhere cold and you've been wanting a little more efficiency in colder weather.
And it will help even on some chilly mornings in SoCal. So
yeah, it certainly will. So if that's something you wanted, that's great. However, you are going to have to compromise by losing quite a bit of trunk space. So if you're interested, if you don't know, the older Mach-E's, you can fit quite a bit. You could fit a bunch of carry-ons. You
can fit a carry-on size.
Carry-on size suitcases. You could fit a couple chairs. We have those folding chairs that we put in there. I don't think you could fit those anymore. So this has certainly become something that you just put like your charging cables or something like that. You do still have the drain, which is very cool.
There's one down there.
Drain down there, and then there's one over here. So if you want to put ice in here, like we've seen in a lot of Mach-E's, you actually have a smaller space, which is almost cool because then you use less ice. So it's a toss-up. Let us know down below how you feel about this change. Is the heat pump worth the difference, or do you miss the Frunk? And can I still close this with one hand? Yeah! This video is sponsored by EV Vita, creators of mods and accessories for all EVs and exclusive resellers of best EV mod accessories with direct customer support.
With EV Vita, it doesn't just end when you get their products. They have lots of tutorials. They're very quick to answer questions. We have their products in our Mach E and our Equinox, and we're really proud to have them as a sponsor. So inside of the 2025 Mustang Mach E, there are a couple of, like minor but big differences or big deal differences. First of all, compared to the 2024 and previous Mach E's, there is no gear shifter here. There's this extra storage space that has been put here, and my phone will be upside down, but like perfect little slot for the phone. If you want to put it there, it will be nice. Of course, you still have your charging pad up here. Liv has very much noticed that it's a nice little cubby to store our extra mics. Complicated story about why we have extra mics, but anyways, but yeah, so the gear shifter has moved over here to the gear stalk. This side is fairly simple and reminds us of our Equinox EV that we have. So you tap up to go to reverse, down for drive, neutral's in the middle. I guess that's probably a push forward. I don't want to do that right now. and then tap on it for park. That's fairly straightforward and simple. For some people, that's been a big, huge change. They really like the gear shifter here. For others, they hated having the gear shifter there because they have like pets or kids that like to step in that area. A lot of people, like when you are in a tight urban area and you got to go reverse to drive as you're like making a 4, 5, 6 point turn, the gear shifter, every time you got to like look down. This is like, so far, we've only been in this car for like 30 minutes. I've already gotten used to it. Again, part of that is because we have an Equinox, but it's like just very easy. Boom, up is reverse, down is drive. On the other side, this is the one, and I'll
give you my phone.
Oh, here,
There you go.
Grab the phone over here. So this is the one that is the super stock and is a lot of there are a lot of functions over here on this side. So you have like your windshield wipers, front and back, as well as your lights. And that's a lot of functions to have on one stock. Now, the great thing is, a lot of times I just leave our Mach E with automated lights as well as automated windshield wipers, or I turn it on like one and it's automated or whatever. So it's like, it's not like I have to touch it that much. And of course we live in Southern California, so it doesn't actually rain a ton, but there are a lot of functions on there, but I don't think it's something that I would use often. Whereas of course the one on this side, every time I get in the car, I got to touch and use. So I get why they made the left side a bit more complicated than the right. And your essential, the thing that is so crucial is your gear shifter. You don't want to mix that up with like windshield wipers and headlights, but like the worst that you can do is you turn your windshield wipers on a little bit more.
And that is also exactly like our Equinox. And I do want to say, it, like Patrick said, it doesn't really rain much in Southern California. But the night that we picked up the Equinox, it rained. And I was in the car for the first time driving. And I was like, how do I turn on the windshield wipers? And I figured it out very quickly.
Yep.
So it's like, it is a super stock, but two of the features, like you said, automatic wipers and lights, we have on by default.
So the other changes, and we'll get some of this,
and I can get this
more when we're driving. Well, I was going to do this one here because it's hard for you to get all the way over here. But the display doesn't look that interesting right now, because we're just fast charging. But you can see it's sort of very similar to the old one looking right now, or the 2024 and previous display. Just tells me 60%, 159 miles of range right now. We'll hit 100%. At 11:14. That's just an estimate. By the way, if you're curious what we're charging at, let me show you. Whoa, wait a second. Oh, there we go. It's not focusing correctly, but let me do this. It now shows on the center screen in 2025's our fast charging speed. We plugged in at 49%, so I wasn't expecting a super fast charge, and we're on a 150 kilowatt charger. But anyways, we now have the charging speed there, as well as the fact that I can set my limit. So like if I pulled up here, it actually, before we got here, it actually popped up something that said you don't need to go to 100% every single day. They recommend 90%, so I could tap that and actually change it. So that's another change as far as the screen here goes. Some other changes, like if you have a earlier 2022, 2023, 2021 Mach E. And I turned this down. But in the sound and the tone settings, there's the equalizer like we've been used to having, but there's also the Biosonic. We covered this in like a 2024 review that we did. But you can adjust from relaxed to bright to energetic to warm. A lot of people love those adjustments, and they say the sound quality just sounds really nice with those. For me, it's like I'm just so old school. I like having the equalizer. I don't know what energetic versus relaxed means when I'm like listening to music, but that's one of the changes for 2025 and 2024. Other things, by the way, let's see if they actually have these on here. Under entertainment, there is, we're
karaoke.
We're not connected complete. Oh, there's no karaoke on this one. So there is karaoke that is available on Mustang Mach E's, as well as there's, if you have Android Auto, there are some games as well. I'm sort of just jumping all over the place because we're in such a rush, but I'll try to keep it organized. So let's see, we'll go to our apps here. and there are more games that are available via Android apps. So like BB Racing, Angry Birds, Candy Crush. So they're adding some more games via Android Auto, which is sort of cool. And that's on the Google side of things. If you notice, it's also showing like my percentage estimates. So to get to the Pikes Peak International Raceway, it says it's 15 miles away, 17 minutes drive, but it's also estimating we would arrive at 59% battery, and it'll adjust, it'll lag, because we're fast charging. It's not completely instant in the estimates, but it'll update those as I'm like driving over there. And we found that this is fairly accurate for our 2022 Mach E GT. So I imagine in 2025 it's also very accurate, and that is also in Apple CarPlay as well. So that's really cool to see. But yeah, overall, not a ton of differences. We just hopped into this and it was like, wow, we're in a 2025. It feels very much like our 2022.
There's a big difference.
The red stitching?
The red stitching for sure, but it is a warm day and we are currently enjoying something quite delicious. What is it?
Sun.
Ventilated seats.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I can feel it, and I can actually hear the ventilated seats. The ventilated seats are, down here. Like if I tap, I can switch to heated seats.
Let's see if I can show you.
Turn them to automatic.
Do that again.
I just turned it down. So again, it's like, oh, that turned the heat on.
Don't do that.
Oh, that's cool.
That is really cool.
So if I go all the way left, that goes up to 3 bars of ventilated seat. Oop. If I tap that and I go all the way right, the heated seats are on.
So the dial is interactive for various things and is useful for various things. And it's cool to see that being adapted for the ventilated seats. I gotta say, I think it's a pretty delicious upgrade.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool.
And it's available in the premium. Unfortunately, it's not in the GT, and I believe it's not in the select. So you got to get a premium for that. The red stitching is not on all 2025s. This is because this has the Sport Appearance package, which will, there's changes to the exterior. This is the change on the interior, is the red stitching. Also, we do not have a glass roof. Previous years of the premium Mach E, you had to have a glass roof. That is now an option. So I'm not sure. Like, I love having the glass roof. Like when we're in the Rockies, it's really nice having. Driving around California, there's not often a lot of things above us that we can look at. Sometimes, airplanes and things like that, which are really cool down by the airport. Do you like the glass roof or do you want the steel roof? I think the biggest disadvantage to the glass roof is not the heat that it lets in, because the Mach E glass roof is fairly tinted and has IR protection. The biggest worry for me is like if I get a rock chip, and that's a very expensive thing to replace.
Which we have not had happen.
We have not had happen, no.
We don't have a glass roof in the Equinox, so we have one with, one without. And we're about to go drive up Pikes Peak, which is part of why we're really rushed. We have a lot that we want to do with this amazing car, including a whole test up Pikes Peak to see how much we spend, how much energy we spend, and how much we regain. But we did go up Pikes Peak last week with a Mini Countryman that had a glass roof, and I'm a little bummed that we won't have it now just because the views were spectacular. But that's really situational. For the most part, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, driving around, it's like, I do glance up, but it's not a huge thing for me. I'm curious what everybody out there thinks. But yeah, I think that's all we need to really go over on the interior. You can see like the red stitching on the steering wheel, on the dash, on the door trim. Materials otherwise are pretty much the same. There are variations, of course, between the Select, the Premium, and the GT and the Rally. But this feels very similar to the other Mach-Es that we've had, been in. We originally had a Grabber Blue First Edition, and it had blue stitching that
was
matched
pretty awesome.
The blue exterior, and I love that. That was like one of my favorite things of the first edition that I hated to give up when we upgraded to our GT. But is there anything else? I mean, do you want to show the red stitching in the back?
Let's just take a look.
I mean,
and I think that we will show you what, well, let's show you the red stitching back here. So this is the Sport Appearance package and a Premium Mach E. What we are going to do is, as soon as we start driving, we're going to show you what the instrument cluster looks like, because it's a little bit different there too.
Yep.
And we'll also show you a little bit of what it looks like when it's BlueCruising, because that's a little different too.
Yeah, perfect. We normally like to do big, long driving segments, but we did like a BlueCruise video earlier in this 2025 Mustang Mach E. We are now doing a Pikes Peak video. So I'm just going to give you a quick driving assessment. Of course, we have a Mach E, so it's hard for me to like really evaluate this because it feels so comfortable and so much like our car. So it is very much like any other or previous Mach E's. It is a premium, so it doesn't have quite as much power as our GT. This is premium all-wheel drive, extended range. They have made some changes to the suspension for 2025, and it does feel like it's not as like bouncy as it has, been said to be previously. So they've made some changes in the suspension. Steering and everything feels basically pretty much the same. One of the things they wanted with the Mustang Mach E in general, not just with the GT, is to have a little bit of a sportier feel when you're driving. So I would say that's, still the same with the steering. And even though, it is an electric car, it does not mean like it still has like traditional steering. So you still like can feel like what's going on in the road. Not necessarily as much as like maybe like a Miata or something like that, but it is still here. Overall, Mach E's are very comfortable places. In a premium, I love having the ventilated seats, which is the huge, big upgrade into premiums this year. Very comfortable driving position. Personally, I would like to be a little bit lower. I like being really low when I'm driving in a more performance-oriented vehicle. So the Mach E, though, is an SUV, crossover, whatever you want to call it. So the seating position is a little bit higher and up. The premium bolstering of the seats is very light. It isn't that much. I like the bolstering of the GT and the rally seats more. And Liv, do you have any input on the driving? Quick note, we're coming down the mountain. Very hard for her because she has perforated eardrums, so she has earplugs in.
I do, so hopefully I'm not screaming. But as I said in that video, in the Pikes Peak video, I'm using Earplanes. They're very helpful. We'll link them down below. So if you have perforated eardrums or any discomfort when you're dropping in altitude, these are really helpful. So I missed the bolstering of the GT because like we're going on all these switchbacks and I kind of just feel like I'm being thrown around, and I do like bolstering. I really like having some bolstering in my seating, but I'm loving the ventilated seats. It's really, really nice. It's not hot. It's 72 degrees. It's getting hotter the lower we go, but it's just nice. It feels quite luxury.
I am so addicted to ventilated seats, and they're not available in the GT or the Rally. So I'm like, oh, come on, Ford. I know there's our Ford Performance seats, and they have never really done ventilated seats, but I want ventilated seats.
Yeah, it's a hard toss-up, and I guess it depends on like what kind of driving you're gonna do a lot of. Like if you're gonna do a lot of spirited driving, then the bolstering is lovely. Like I definitely prefer it. This is honestly like very little bolstering. But if you're going to be in a situation where you'd like to just be like luxuriating in some, cooling air on your back, it's really nice.
And visibility is all really nice and good. Yeah. The A-pillar, because there's airbags in there, it's a little bit thick, but that's a lot of cars nowadays. Steering wheel feels great. I can be picky about steering wheels. Like if they're too thin, I don't like them. If the diameter is too small, it feels like a little go-kart. I think this is like a really good size. It has like a little bit of like bumps for like your 10 and 2 position. So that feels great. Yeah, there's just so many things. Of course, we have a Mach E, so obviously I like the overall interior and the driving, position that I'm in. Everything just feels really good. We have a good mix of on-screen controls as well as buttons. We have like, our climate control. I can tap and then adjust like the temperature, or tap and adjust the seat warmers or the ventilated seats. I'm sort of torn because I do like buttons for like some of those things that are quick, but I think this is a decent compromise. It isn't completely touch screen. We were just in the Countryman mini Countryman last week, and to adjust the temperature, it was like trying to adjust with my finger. That was like really difficult. This is like at least a good compromise. But yeah, that's all I have for it.
For the 2025 Mach E, if you don't know, it has some of the largest departures of any model year and the largest changes in the cabin. Each model year, there really hasn't been anything different. So this is the first time that we've had significant changes. One being the way to shift gears, going from a dial to a gear stalk. And then that completely changes the center console here. I like it. So sorry, I booped my mic there. I like it. It's not so different that it feels like an unfamiliar vehicle. You just have a couple more storage options. And I know Patrick talked about that earlier, but I'll point it out because for me, I think this is something I really enjoy. You still get your side-by-side cup holders, and then you get this extra spot where you can put your phone, and then a little extra spot where you don't have to put your mics. You could put something else. But it keeps the whole kind of aesthetic that we always had before and the functionality, and adds a little bit, which is cool. So if you were wondering about that, it's not a huge departure in the sense of vibe. It's definitely a change, the dial versus the gear stalk, but they've kept that consistent vibe, and we still have our side-by-side cup holders, which I love. So
yeah, I mean, that's why we bought a Mach E. So
yeah,
still continues into 2025. As Liv said, the biggest change is like how you shift gears. Super used to it already, but we have an Equinox EV, and that's how you shift in that. Slight differences, but basically the same. So for 2025 in the premiums, the suspension has been adjusted compared to previous premiums. We've been driving this one around. We'll also have a 2025 overview as well as a 2025 or a BlueCruise 1.5 video as well. I found so far that the suspension, I do notice it seems a bit better. I need longer in it to sort of really tell the difference. But in previous Mach-Es in the premium, like you go over some things and you sort of get that like bouncy. I haven't seen that. There we go.
There is some bumpy. That actually felt pretty well planted.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're both thinking about it quite a bit because I know some people really notice the bouncy, and I didn't notice it that much before. So
it's worse in the back seat. So
ooh, should I sit in the back?
No. So the difference in the 2025, one of the biggest changes, visually, is this instrument cluster. I'm in BlueCruise 1.5 right now, so you can see that it's like this bluish screen, like it always is when you're in BlueCruise, but it looks basically completely different from previous year Mustang Mach Es. I really like the displays. It looks really nice. I'm going to go out of BlueCruise just to show you what it looks like without that. We now have we're in Unbridled, so we don't have like the lines that like when I accelerate, go across. It's now these like triangles and stuff like that. I don't know if I like that as much or less. You will also notice that this is a premium and it has a power meter, which is new. Previously, the power meter was only on the GTs. It is now across all of the Mach-Es. You have a power meter on the right, so when I accelerate, whoop, you can see it. When I do regen, you can see that. But yeah, just overall some, visual differences. It looks really great. I like them. I sort of miss some of the, the things that I'm used to. But if I had never seen those, I think this display looks fantastic. Let's go ahead and switch. The center screen hasn't changed, but I'm going to switch to engage. So you can see instead of triangles, it's like little dots basically with the blue. If we do whisper, it's like a till and they're circles. So it's sort of like you can still have a visual reference of what mode you're in just based off of looking at the screen here. Whisper looks really nice. I sort of like the little circles.
It's my favorite. I like the color.
The color looks really great.
Now, if you get a Mach E in that color.
Yeah, that would be great. We are getting ready to head up Pikes Peak now. We're heading up to the mountain. So I will be switching it to Unbridled and enjoying that, and no BlueCruise, of course. BlueCruise is like the other big difference. We have a whole video on BlueCruise 1.5. The biggest thing is it does automated lane changes now, not just assisted. It does automated lane changes. So that's like the big thing, but it also is just improved overall, more confidence, more stability, less disengagement. So look for that video as well. We're gonna wrap this mini preview, review, whatever you want to call it, of the 2025 Mustang Mach E. We love our 2022. I would love to have a 2025. I would probably go with the Rally, but the Premium has some improvements with the suspension. I love the 1.5 updates. I love this Velocity Blue. I still like my Grabber Blue, but it looks great.
It looks really good. There's some features that are super awesome. We still have things that we like the side-by-side cup holders, but we gain ventilated seats. We gain this cool textured grille, which is actually really fun looking.
As an option.
As an option.
So, yeah.
Yeah, if you want the sports appearance package, we lose a little space in the front, but we gain a heat pump. So there's a lot of differences in the 24 and older to the 2025, but either way, you're getting a sweet Mach E, which is absolutely awesome. By the way, be sure to join the Mustang Mach E Club of America. We'll leave all the details down below. And on that note, thank you so much for watching this video as we checked out the 2025 Mustang Mach E, all the differences. A huge thank you to our patrons whose names are scrolling across the screen right now. We truly appreciate you guys and your support of us in this channel, and you, our YouTube members too. If you would like to join either of those, you can do so down below. And just remember that whatever you drive, whether it's a 2025 Mach E, an older one, or something else entirely, enjoy the ride.
Bye.